Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know First Fission CEO predicts a crippling RAM shortage driven by AI will kill some tech companies by 2026 as an oligopoly controls supply. We'll analyse why this AI-driven supply crisis is a turning point and how it could affect the survival of smaller hardware manufacturers. Second, Microsoft's 2029 quantum computing timeline is a breakthrough, leveraging stable topological qubits to challenge rivals and ignite a US-China tech race. Today, we'll take a closer look at this quantum breakthrough and its implications for global data security and the harvest now, decrypt later threat. Third, Mark Zuckerberg testifies he lacks a degree to judge mental health risks, defending AR filters while Meta earned $11 billion from miners. So we'll discuss why this testimony matters and what it means for the courts becoming the de facto regulators for big tech in the US. Fourth, Cadence reveals 45% of its business is from system companies, confirming a massive industry shift to custom chip design fueled by the AI race. This discussion will reveal how this metric connects to the larger custom silicon trend and what it means for the semiconductor industry's power dynamics. Fifth, AI pioneer Fei-Fei Li's startup World Labs raises $1 billion to build spatial intelligence, drawing investment from fierce rivals AMD and Nvidia. In this episode, we'll break down this massive funding round and what it signals for the race to create AI that understands the physical world. A top tech CEO just dropped a bombshell prediction. By the second half of 2026, some companies will die. Now, who does this really hit? It's not the Apples or Nvidias of the world. The real danger is for mid-tier electronics makers, like smaller Android phone brands or the countless companies making Internet of Things devices. They operate on thin margins and lack the negotiating power to survive a supply shock like this, putting them directly in the line of fire. The cause? A crippling global shortage of a component you probably take for granted, computer memory or RAM. In a televised interview, Pfizer's CEO Puakind Seng confirmed that companies will be forced to cut product lines and some will even cease operations entirely if they can't get the parts they need. And it all comes down to the AI boom. AI data centers are gobbling up the vast majority of the world's memory supply, creating an unprecedented imbalance. So the thing is, hyperscalers like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta are in an arms race to build out their AI infrastructure. To do this, they need a special kind of memory called high bandwidth memory, or HBM. The demand is so extreme that research firm TrendForce projects that by 2026, AI data centers alone will consume a staggering 70% of all high-end DRAM produced globally. This effectively starves the rest of the market. A while back, we walked through how this plays out on the ground. ByteDance was reportedly negotiating with Samsung not just for a custom AI chip, but for a bundled guarantee of scarce HBM and DRAM. We called it the AI tax, and today's projection is that Squeeze quantified. This has caused RAM prices to triple, quadruple, or in some cases, even sextuple over the past few months alone. But what's really driving this scarcity? It turns out just 3 companies control a staggering 93% of the entire global DRAM market. Now, get this. This isn't an accident. It's a business strategy. The 3 giants, Samsung, SK, Hynix, and Micron, form what is essentially a market oligopoly. They've learned from past boom and bust cycles. If they build too many factories too fast, they risk an oversupply, which would cause prices to crash and evaporate their profits. And according to reports, these 3 giants have decided to prioritize profits instead of risking overproduction. They are choosing not to build new facilities too fast, ensuring supply remains tight and prices stay high. As we've discussed before, Samsung's unique position making both AI chips and HBM lets it offer bundled package deals to preferred partners, exactly the kind of pre-booked capacity that keeps supply tight for everyone else. This isn't just about small players getting squeezed out. The shockwaves are so big that even a giant like Nvidia might skip shipping a new gaming GPU for the first time in 30 years. Remember, we flagged earlier that even gaming hardware makers were getting squeezed because HBM soaks up so many manufacturing resources. This highlights a massive power imbalance. Giants like Apple and Nvidia can secure long-term supply contracts, locking in prices and guaranteeing availability. But smaller companies face a brutal reality. Reports show that memory suppliers are enforcing non-negotiable price hikes of 40 to 60% on them. They simply can't absorb those costs. We've already seen how deep-pocketed players like ByteDance try to get around the bottleneck, while everyone else gets hit with take-it-at pricing. The core conflict is clear. The tech world's insatiable demand is crashing against a wall of controlled supply. What's fascinating is that this prediction isn't happening in a vacuum. It perfectly aligns with a massive global movement called Right to Repair. The Pfizer CEO added that over the next couple of years, he expects people will start fixing products more often. And actually, the European Union has a directive going into effect in July 2026 that legally requires manufacturers to make products easier to repair. So we're seeing a perfect storm. Supply shortages are forcing us to repair our devices while new laws are making it possible. The RAM shortage is set to affect everything that computing touches, threatening the era of cheap, easily replaceable devices. We just talked about a looming hardware crisis, but now let's shift to a mind-bending hardware breakthrough. A top Microsoft executive just went on the record with a timeline that could change everything for quantum computing. For years, it's been a technology of the distant future. Not anymore. The company's vice president of quantum now confidently states that by 2029, commercially valuable quantum machines will be running in data centers. He said, I would not be able to say this with this much clarity last year, but this year I can. So what changed? Believe it or not, Microsoft is taking a fundamentally different path than its rivals like Google and IBM. While others use what are called superconducting qubits, which are notoriously unstable, Microsoft has developed a topological qubit. The key insight here is that these qubits are inherently more stable. Think of it like encoding a message in a braided rope versus just writing it on a piece of paper. The braid holds its shape even if it gets jostled. This breakthrough means Microsoft believes they can build quantum computers that are not only more powerful, but also far less error-prone. And the numbers behind this leap are staggering. According to a report from UBS, a quantum computer is close to being able to solve a problem in just 200 seconds that would take a conventional supercomputer 10,000 years to crack. This has ignited a global arms race for computational supremacy. Tech giants are investing heavily, but the real battle is between nations. Interestingly enough, the US and China are playing two different games here. Research shows that China's massive state-led investment is heavily focused on quantum communication. They've already built a 1,200-mile-long quantum key distribution network. The US, on the other hand, is relying more on its private tech giants to lead the charge in building the actual quantum computing hardware. It's a strategic gamble, state-led infrastructure versus private sector innovation. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. This technology won't just slot into our existing world. Experts say it will require entirely new data center designs built around specialized quantum pods. You see, these quantum pods are unlike anything we have today. They require extreme conditions, like cryogenic cooling systems that bring the temperature down to near absolute zero, colder than deep space. They also need intense electromagnetic shielding and vibration isolation. A single one of these cooling units can cost over $1 million and consume hundreds of thousands of dollars in energy each year. On top of that, there's a massive talent shortage for every 3 open quantum jobs. There's only 1 qualified candidate available. This all leads to the biggest risk of all, data security. The very power that makes quantum computing so revolutionary is also its greatest threat. A powerful enough quantum machine could break the encryption methods that protect everything from your bank account to government secrets. The urgent threat is what security experts call harvest now, decrypt later, which means adversaries could be collecting our encrypted data right now, today, just storing it away until they have a quantum computer powerful enough to break the codes in the future. In response, the US National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, has been racing to create new quantum-proof encryption standards. The race to build a quantum computer has officially become a race to reinvent digital security before it's too late. From a race to secure the future of data, let's turn to a battle over the present-day impact of big tech. When pressed on the witness stand about his qualifications to judge mental health risks, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg had a stunning response. I don't have a college degree in anything. And this is where it gets really interesting because who gets to decide what compelling evidence of harm actually is? In regulated industries, like pharmaceuticals, decisions are guided by established scientific standards. But here, the standard is being set by a CEO without a relevant degree. What's more, court documents allege that Zuckerberg has personally rejected proposals to enhance teen mental health on his platforms, even when Meta's own internal research highlighted potential harm. This was his answer after 8 hours of testimony in a landmark trial over social media addiction. The question came after Zuckerberg defended his decision to allow AR filters that simulate cosmetic surgery on his platforms, a move that even his own executives had raised alarms about, and the executive was right to be concerned. You see, while Zuckerberg demands definitive long-term proof, recent studies are already finding significant positive associations between using facial filters on platforms like TikTok and increased body image concerns. One 2024 study even found that slimming beauty filters significantly heighten the desire to lose weight and increase self-objectification among users. But the story gets even more complicated. The plaintiff's lawyer revealed an email from another Meta executive who directly disagreed with Zuckerberg's decision. She wrote, "There won't be hard data to prove causal harm for many years," citing her personal experience with a daughter who suffered from body dysmorphia. This entire high-stakes drama unfolded as Zuckerberg, flanked by an entourage wearing Meta's smart glasses, testified just feet away from parents whose children died after struggling with issues they attribute to social media. And about those glasses, this wasn't just some random accessory. Meta's partnership with Ray-Ban on these AI-powered smart glasses is a massive success, with sales reportedly exceeding 7 million units in 2025 alone. Seeing them in court could be seen as a deliberate, if tone-deaf, brand moment. The scene became so surreal, the judge had to admonish the courtroom against wearing the AI glasses, threatening contempt of court. The CEO insisted Meta has shifted away from prioritizing time spent on the platform, but he was grilled over documents describing the value of getting users on the platform young. And the value of getting users young is staggering because the money involved is almost unbelievable. A 2023 Harvard study estimated that social media platforms, including Meta's, collectively earn nearly $11 billion in ad revenue from US users under 18 in a single year. That includes over $2 billion from users aged 12 and under. That's the business reality behind those internal documents. He repeatedly pushed back against the lawyer's characterizations, stating at one point, "That's not what I'm saying at all." The testimony boils down to this: a CEO demanding definitive proof of harm, while his own team warned that waiting for that proof might take years. The larger context here is that with Congress repeatedly failing to pass comprehensive platform safety legislation, these mass action lawsuits are becoming the de facto regulatory mechanism for big tech. Legal experts are drawing direct parallels to the historic litigation against the tobacco and opioid industries. This trial isn't just about one feature, it's about whether the courts can do what lawmakers haven't. Speaking of tech giants and their immense influence, a massive power shift is also underway in the very foundation of technology itself, semiconductors. A seismic shift is happening in the tech world. The companies that build your phones, your cars, and run the cloud are now in a race to design their very own computer chips. And one company's stock is soaring because it's selling them the shovels in this new gold rush. A while back, we talked about that scramble for AI silicon. Today, we're seeing the shovel seller take a victory lap. These shovels are incredibly complex pieces of software known as electronic design automation, or EDA tools. These are the blueprints and the virtual factories for creating modern chips. What many don't know is that this market is basically a duopoly. Cadence and its main rival, Synopsys, control over 60% of the entire global market. They are the gatekeepers to this revolution. We've said before, this is a choke point. Now the market is rewarding it. Cadence Design Systems just revealed a number that pulls back the curtain on this massive trend. The company reported that nearly half of its entire business, a staggering 45%, now comes from what it calls system companies. We're not talking about traditional chip makers. We're talking about hyperscalers and the end producers of phones and cars. We previously analysed how these players were moving in-house. This is the first time we're seeing the shift quantified this clearly. This shift is fundamentally disrupting the old guard. For decades, companies like Apple or Amazon would buy general-purpose chips from specialists like Intel or Qualcomm. Now, by designing their own silicon, these system companies are cutting out the middleman and creating chips perfectly tailored to their products, leaving traditional chip giants scrambling. A while back, we broke down ByteDance's dual-track approach, earmarking billions for AI, buying NVIDIA for training while developing more cost-efficient inference chips. That playbook is spreading. So why is this happening? Cadence CEO Anirudh Devgan put it plainly. He said these companies want to optimize their hardware and software together, and the most critical way to do that is by designing their own custom chips, and the performance gains are staggering. For example, research shows that Amazon's custom-built AI chips can outperform some of NVIDIA's top-tier GPUs in both performance per watt and total cost of ownership for their specific workloads. That's the kind of competitive edge you can't just buy off the shelf. This isn't just a small trend, it's an explosion. Fueled by the AI arms race, companies are desperate for an edge, and custom silicon is the ultimate weapon. Cadence is actually using AI to supercharge this very trend. They are embedding generative AI directly into their design software, and these AI tools are achieving incredible results, in some cases reducing the design timeline for a complex chip from 6 weeks down to just 2. They are literally building the tools that accelerate the arms race they're profiting from. The CEO then said this trend of companies designing their own chips is only going to accelerate. This is why Cadence just smashed earnings expectations, with its stock jumping over 6%. But this isn't just about one company's quarterly report. It's a clear signal that the battle for technological supremacy has entered a new phase. On a global scale, this software, this EDA technology, is so critical that it's considered a controlled dual-use technology under US export regulations. So when you see a company like Cadence thriving, you're not just seeing a stock price go up, you're seeing a critical choke point in the future of global technology. We were just talking about the company selling the shovels in the AI gold rush. Well, now let's look at a pioneer who's trying to discover a whole new gold mine. A startup just raised $1 billion to build a new kind of artificial intelligence. The company is World Labs, and it's run by prominent computer scientist Fei-Fei, a figure so foundational, she's widely known as the godmother of AI. And that title is not an exaggeration. After all, Lee was the driving force behind a project called ImageNet back in 2009. ImageNet was a massive hand-labeled database of images that literally taught computers how to see. It kickstarted the entire deep learning revolution we're living through today. So when she says she's building the next foundational piece of AI, people listen. This isn't just about another chatbot. Lee's goal is spatial intelligence AI that can understand and interact with the real three-dimensional world, not just two-dimensional data like text and flat images. So why is this such a huge leap? Well, the large language models we use today are surprisingly bad at understanding physical space. Research shows their accuracy on spatial reasoning tasks can drop by over 40% as the problems get more complex. They're processing words about the world, not the world itself. What Lee is proposing is an AI that learns from the ground up with a true sense of three-dimensional space, which could be the key to unlocking a much more powerful and grounded form of intelligence. And the list of who's betting on her is a bombshell. Chip giants and fierce rivals AMD and NVIDIA are both backing World Labs. This is fascinating because these two companies are locked in a brutal war for the future of computing. What's really at play here is that hardware companies are hedging their bets. They want to ensure their chips are essential for whatever AI paradigm wins out. By investing in a company pioneering a new direction like spatial intelligence, they guarantee they won't be left behind if the industry pivots away from today's text-based models. But the plot thickens. Software firm Autodesk didn't just invest, it dropped $200 million and is serving as an advisor to the startup. A while back, we noted how even software-first investors were diving into hardware to keep pace with AI's shift. Autodesk stepping in as both investor and advisor is that same bridge connecting design software directly to three-dimensional native intelligence. Autodesk's $200 million bet is a massive signal. For companies that build the software used to design everything from buildings to cars, this new three-dimensional generative AI is both a huge threat and an incredible opportunity. By getting in on the ground floor, Autodesk is trying to steer this revolution instead of being run over by it. This massive funding round follows a previous raise of $230 million just a few months ago and puts World Labs in talks for a valuation of about $5 billion. But here's where the real battle begins. World Labs is now in a direct race against some of the biggest names in the industry. Google DeepMind and a new startup from Yann LeCun, formerly Meta's chief AI scientist. And this isn't just a race of names, it's a race of ideas, as they're all taking slightly different paths. Google DeepMind's project, called Genie, can generate entire interactive, playable three-dimensional worlds from a simple text prompt. Meanwhile, Yann LeCun's startup is focused on what he calls action-conditioned world models AI that learns cause and effect by predicting what will happen next. This is more than a funding announcement. It's the starting gun for a high-stakes conflict to build the next generation of AI. The prize isn't just creating another app. It's developing AI that can process the physical environment, power, advanced robotics, and fundamentally understand the world we live in. The race to build AI that truly sees is officially on.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.